Hey comic book fans, my nerdy friends and my geeky compadres, what's going on? Today I'm coming at you with another trade review, as always, every Monday. And this week, today, we're going to do Northlanders, Book 5, entitled Metal and Other Stories. Alright, so this one, this trade is split up into three different stories. There is the first story, which is only an issue long, and called The Sea Road. The second story is 5 issues long, called Metal, and the third story is called The Girl in the Ice, and it's 2 issues long. And each story has a different artist. The first one being The Sea Road is done by Fiona Staples. The second one is Riccardo Bercelli. Sorry if I messed that up. And the third story, The Girl on the Ice, is done by Becky Cloonan. So we're just going to go in order. The first one, called The Sea Road, all these are written by Brian Woods, just so you know. Brian Wood does all of the Northlanders stuff, and I love the stories. The first one, The Sea Road, art by Fiona Staples. Her art is great in this. One thing that I always talk about when I do reviews on these Northlanders books is the physical presence, the physical of the book. Love the covers, love the paper, the rough kind of not glossy paper. It just feels awesome. And another thing that I don't know if I mentioned all that much is the coloring in these books is fantastic. It gives you like this, you just get the feel of where the stories take place, you know. But here's Fiona Staples' artwork in The Sea Road. Obviously, Fiona Staples, if you've read Saga, you know exactly how she draws, and it's the same in here, which is fantastic. This story is about a man who is pretty disgusted with his lot in life. He's 40 years old, been manning a boat for 20 years, doing the same thing all the time, every year, every season. Go back, get goods from places for richer men, gets a little bit, but never has a house of his own, never has a wife or a child, and he just gets kind of sick of it. So he decides to sail west and discover new lands and be something that people will talk about for a while and be somebody that mattered. So this whole story is just about the treacherous road he takes to get to become famous, and it doesn't end out quite right. He has pretty much a mutiny at the beginning when they realize what they're doing. When they finally come upon land, it looks like that, and they think they've like disturbed the gods, and it's on fire, and they can hardly breathe. And then the next thing that happens is they have like this huge storm that kills half the crew, and then the further they get, they go to Iceland, and oh no, this is the Arctic ice field. Sorry, Arctic ice field, and pretty much freeze to death and go just crazy, mad. His friend, name is Story, goes absolutely nuts, goes naked, and like I was saying about the coloring, like he's obviously hallucinating here, and you can tell like the way it's colored is just amazing. You go from these cold tones into this just crazy, you know, hippie trance kind of stuff, and it's fantastic. They finally come upon Greenland, and the man, Dag is his name, the main character starts going nuts and just decides that like he's not giving anybody any percentage of whatever they get out of here, and starts killing them all. Goes on to this beautiful land, and the natives come and find him, and he's pretty much like, yeah, this is a beautiful place. I'm just the first of many people to come to this beautiful place. You have to watch out. And he sees like the look in their eyes, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna die. Okay, well, you guys can have the boat. And they cut his throat, and that was the end. Really kind of like, I would say fun, for lack of a better word. But yeah, just kind of like, kind of fun, because here's someone who's going against the grain to not be like he was, and wants to make a difference in the world, and it all just gets torn to shreds, and he doesn't make a difference at all. So, yeah, that was good. The next part is metal, which is the main part of this book. We start off with... Okay, let me start off with speaking about the art in this one. The art in this story I am not a huge fan of. Usually I am. I usually enjoy the art. But just some things that were drawn here just bugged me. Like, people's faces really, really bothered me in this one. Like, I know this guy is supposed to look whacked out and crazy, but he looks really nuts. And then, like, there's a part where our main character, Eric, he had a close-up of his eyes, and he had, like, a lazy eye or something, and it just, like, I started noticing that a lot in a bunch of different characters, and so the art kind of threw me off on this one completely. The story was fantastic, though. I really enjoyed the story, but the art just did not do it for me at all. I'm trying to find that spot where I'm talking about his, like, this right here. This is Eric. And his face just looks far too cartoony. Like, beady little eyes, and like half his face is his chin. And I get, like, you're trying to accentuate the broad manliness of a Norseman, like right there. But it just doesn't work for me. I didn't like it. And then there are these parts where some of the characters, half their faces were like skeletons, and it was intentional, because they were the gods. Yeah, here's the eyes that I was talking about. And don't get me wrong, he's tripping out on some drugs. It actually says he's high, but it didn't do it for me. So anyway, yeah, aside from the art, the story was really, really good. I liked the story. We start off with Eric being shackled and held prisoner in his own town, because I don't know if it was intentionally or it was an accident, but he kind of botched a job. He's the blacksmith who inherited the position from his father. So I think in the book it says he's 20. So he's not really got it all down. But the job is the Christians coming in to kind of settle on their land, and they're offering a whole lot of money, and the guy in charge just says, this is what we need to do to come out of poverty. And Eric is steadfast about believing in the old gods and the old ways, and this other guy is all about moving on and moving up. Well, he tells Eric to just go home and, let us deal with it. And Eric goes into the woods, finds some shrooms, and just starts tripping, and starts talking to Hulda, who's like Mother Nature, the god of nature. And she tells him that he needs to set things right and stop what's going on. So he goes back to like his village, and sees the Christians coming in, these priests and nuns, and sees this one girl who is albino, which in the old ways is very important. Like, this is her right here. Her name is Ingrid. The Christians call her Agnes as a joke, because she's supposed to be a prostitute. She called her Agnes because Agnes is the patron saint of raped women. So he sees her and decides that, like, now's the time, and he pretty much just sets a plan, and that night comes and, like, butchers all the Christians and sets everything on fire and saves Ingrid. I'm trying to remember if he killed the guy who set up the... that came later. Set the place on fire, saved Ingrid, goes out into the woods, and she is kind of like a wannabe old ways witch. So she knows a little bit about, like, the land and putting flowers into a pot and inhaling the vapors and getting high. It's kind of funny. Like, there was a lot of drugs in here. But she tells Eric that she just wants a nice, easy life, free of all the hassle and all the, craziness of other people. And she just wants to have, like, nice summer days all the time. And he realizes he can't promise her that because he's on, like, this path to go and, like, rid the Northlands of the Christians. So we see a lot of him talking to Hulda, and, like, I got kind of lost sometimes on the panel setups, and really it's not that hard to follow panels because they're all, it's really easy, but I found myself a few times, like, flipping the page and then going back and being like, okay, yeah, that's where it's supposed to go, and just kind of weird. But Eric ends up having, like, a revelation where he realizes he's just gonna pretty much kill everybody, and kind of, it's weird. This is the part that I got confused on. The guy who was setting up things for the Christians to come take over finds him in the woods and starts attacking him. Well, all of a sudden Eric becomes like the Hulk and just pushes a swinging axe away from him. I don't know. He just became like this huge monster, I guess. But he kills that gentleman and kind of goes looking for Ingrid because I believe she ran off. Finds her, and she tells him that she lost her baby that she was having. At that time, he, like, vows vengeance on everybody. So from there, we just have, like, this set of events where you see him going to different cities and just, like, butchering people and setting towns on fire that have been like, taken over by the Christians. There's also another guy, a big brute guy, I believe his name is Black Alex, who is following them. Eric ends up fighting him, and him and Ingrid kill him by trying to do some witchcraft. She's a novice at it, so it doesn't quite work, and he's this Drangor? I forget what they called him. But it's pretty much like he's part of the old gods and he can't die. Especially the way she did it, because she did it wrong. But where is it? I can't find it, but they called him the Black-Hearted Killer. Anyway, they pretty much roam the countryside and just start killing everybody. This Black Alex guy ends up finding them. They get surprised that, he wasn't dead. And he ends up taking Ingrid, kidnapping her, and sending Eric out into this, all of a sudden, snow. That was another thing I didn't quite get. It was confusing. It wasn't really explained very well. But Black Alex is talking to Ingrid, and Hulda is talking to Ingrid, and she tells Ingrid to tell Black Alex that she's pregnant with Eric's baby, and that would bring Eric to them, so Black Alex could finally kill Eric or whatever. And there's this part where he's got Ingrid, and she tells him that she's pregnant, and he reaches through the wall into the snow and grabs Alex back into the building. Like, it just was confusing. Like, I get that he's like a witch or whatever, or a warlock, but it just confused me. And Eric and him started fighting, like, just a brutal fight, and he says that, Black Alex says that, oh, you can't kill me, whatever, and Eric pretty much was like, yeah, the fuck I can. And somehow, like, this was all slightly confusing to me. Somehow, he grew to be a giant, and Eric shoved his sword through his skull and split him in half. And then when you flip the page, like, for real, he's a giant, and all these people are standing around. I don't understand. I didn't understand that at all. I don't think it was explained very well, like, in the art. It was just confusing. So Eric comes back to Ingrid. He finds out that she's pregnant because he didn't know. And Hulda pretty much tells them that they'll never be safe, no matter what. And Eric was pretty much like, yeah, we'll take that chance. And they just kind of head out on their own and just be by themselves, a happy little family. And that's the end of that story. So, like, overall, the story of that one I enjoyed, but there was a lot that I didn't get, whether it was due to the art or maybe the way that Brian Wood set it up. I don't know. It just didn't work as well as the other Northlanders stories have for me. It was still decent. Glad I have it. I'm trying to pick up all these Northlanders trades because I want to have them all. But it definitely wasn't my favorite story. The next one, The Girl in the Ice, done by Becky Cloonan, starts off completely different. We have an old man kind of just sitting in his house. For the first, like, 3 or 4 pages, I thought it was going to be like a silent issue, because there was just nothing going on except for him walking out from his house, going ice fishing, building a fire, and eating breakfast. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, we'll go with this. Ends up, he I forget what his name is. Oh, John. His name is John. And his city, like, not really city, but like the people that have settlings all over the land. They're in a war, and the people that are watching over John are watching out for people who are attacking them on the border, like right by his house, I guess. John's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with any of that. I'm old. I just do what I do. I live off the land, and y'all can just go fight somewhere else. I don't care. And he just goes on with his life, like goes down to the lake where he fishes and finds this girl frozen in the ice. He's pretty wrecked about it. He's like, I don't get how this girl could just be frozen in the ice. So he sets out trying to break her out of the ice, and he has to do it at a certain time because there's patrols going all over the land because of this war that's happening. And he ends up breaking her out in the middle of the night and dragging her back to his house and like thawing her out, and finds a silver crest she had on her like coat, and he's just kind of like, how could this happen? So he like begins an autopsy. He's trying to figure out what happened to her. Meanwhile, his people come back to this house and say, look, because of what's going on, all the fighting, I need to put 2 soldiers here. We protect you, and now it's your turn to help us. And he's just like, no, I don't have the food, I don't have the heat for 2 extra people. So you just can't. And this guy tells another soldier, he's like, okay, I need you to bring yourself, someone else, and enough food for 2 weeks, and you can stay at this house. John agrees, and that night goes to put her back in the ice because he didn't want to get caught with his dead girl, and them thinking that he killed her. So he goes to put her back, and as he's going to put her back, he gets caught with her. They knock him out and take him to the village, and he's kept prisoner and goes to be put on trial. He tries to tell them what actually happened. Nobody's hearing it because, well, he's a 40-year-old, or really old man with, not that 40 is really old. It's just 40 was something else. 40 was the first story. He was an old man. He was this old man with a dead female. So they sentence him to death. He goes back to his cell, where the mother of the girl comes to see him, and she tells him that she knows it wasn't him who killed her. It was the weather, because she had let her run away. She was playing with the little silver pendant that she was going to get when she got married. But the girl wanted it early. The mom said no. The little girl ran off with it. And mom thought that she was going to come back. Apparently the little girl was only 11 and just being stubborn, and the mom waited hours before anything happened. She finally told someone, and they thought people had kidnapped her. And she just got lost in the weather and froze in the lake, apparently. So as she tells John this story, he realizes that her saying this isn't going to help his situation. He's just kind of like, he's going to die. But he's all right with it because he knows the truth, what happened to her. And like, he spent all this time trying to figure out what happened to her. And finally he knows. And now he can live with himself or die with himself. But yeah, that story, that was that story. I really liked Becky Cloonan's art in this one. This one, I mean, was drawn beautifully. I didn't have any problems figuring out what was going on. Everything looked right, and Like, everybody's face was good. It just looked good. I had a problem with the metal part of the story, but yeah, this trade overall was pretty decent. Not my favorite Northlanders trade by any means, but still worth a pickup, I think, if not for the stories alone. So yeah, that's my review of Northlanders Book 5, Metal and Other Stories. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.